All right, man, peace. So super woke super athlete LeBron James decided that he was going to chime in on the ritualistic killing of Miss Breonna Taylor. Of course, he was relegated to reading from the NBA script, but he decided that he was going to go off script for a moment to describe what he believes the true meaning of Black Lives Matter is, that being that it's not a movement, but a quote-unquote lifestyle. The reality is that there's no such thing as black, much less blackness being a lifestyle. What that implies is that if you're born a so-called black person, that you therefore have to live your life a certain way. And that's not true. Not true at all. And the fact of the matter is that if being black is a lifestyle, then LeBron James is not black, because he has not lived out the quote-unquote black existence. I'm not doubting a lot of his hood tales from the mean streets of Akron, talking about how he's seen people get murdered and things of that nature. Maybe he has. But I will say this. Whatever ills he may have experienced as a young boy were certainly offset by the entitlement and the preferential treatment that he was the recipient of from around the age of 12 years old all the way up to now. There's never been a more coddled athlete in the modern history of professional sports than LeBron James. And he's been through his share of trials and tribulations. No doubt about it. When he left Cleveland and went to Miami, he was put through the fire. But most of that was ritualistic. They already knew within his script that he was going to return to the Cleveland Cavaliers, just like they knew that to end his career he was going to depart for the LA Lakers, because Osiris must head out west to the land of the dead. That's just how it's written. So LeBron always knew that he was going to end his career a Laker, and that he was going to replace the previous Osiris, that being Mr. Kobe Bean Bryant.
So basketball is back, and the LA Lakers have returned to the court for the first time in months. And after the game, LeBron James, he didn't want to talk about hooping. He wanted to talk about something that was far more important, and that is justice for Breonna Taylor.
Yes, the same thing that all of these other NBA woke meatheads have been talking about for the last week. This young lady right here, who none of them knew, none of them really care about to any level of seriousness, because there are so-called young black females and so-called young black males being killed all across America every fucking day. So the fact that they choose this person to highlight, it should spark off some type of an alert in the minds of brothers who are alert that this is ritualistic. As I've already stated, Breonna Taylor was killed on March 13th of 2020, aka Friday the 13th for the Mother Goddess. That's why she was removed, or that's what her ritualistic removal represents. That's why it's been pushed and propagated all across the country. Anytime one of these situations occurs, when a so-called cop kills a young black woman or young black man, and we hear about it across state lines, it's because it's ritualistically relevant. It's never because their life actually quote-unquote mattered.
Check out LeBron's very powerful message from after the Lakers game last night.
We want the cops arrested who committed that crime.
We want the cops arrested who committed that crime. Let me see if I can remember my lines.
Obviously, in the state of Kentucky, what's going down there, I know a lot of people is feeling the same. And us.
How do you know? Have you contacted any of them? What's a lot of people? Have you taken a trip to Louisville? Actually, it would be very convenient for you to go to Louisville since you're trying to become the next Muhammad Ali. Maybe you and your Nike sponsors can link that up to some degree. You can go to Louisville, visit Breonna Taylor's mother, and then go visit Muhammad Ali's old home in Louisville. And then you guys can make that some type of big press release. That's right up your alley.
NBA and us as the players, me as one of the leaders of this league, I want her family to know, and I want the state of Kentucky to know that we feel
that we're going to use what happened to you to publicize us and our Marxist ideologies as much as possible. We know for a fact that the cops are never going to get locked up for what they did because, okay, it was legal at the time to issue a no-knock warrant. By all accounts, the boyfriend fired at the cops first, so we know that there's an ice cube chance in hell of the cops getting locked up for this shit. But at the end of the day, we are subsidiaries of the Black Lesbians Matter movement. This is the Black Lesbians Matter tournament. So we have to act like we care about this shit.
want justice, and that's what it's all about. What's right is right, and what's wrong is wrong.
No more wokeism. What's right is right, and what's wrong is wrong. We have to be careful about the optics. We have to be on the right side of history. Normal woke bullshit.
Oh, there you have it. Look, it was a big night for the Lakers. They hadn't played basketball in a long time, and I think it speaks really loudly. And I think it's very important, at least in my opinion, for LeBron, when he had so many eyes on him, to again just hammer home that message that
he understood that as well as his handlers, that he had to stand in front of the media and make a statement about Breonna Taylor, because at this point, it's become expected that LeBron James is supposed to say something about these various social justice, narrative-driven storylines that occur and that are basically dispensed to the masses through the mainstream media. He's an asset of the mainstream liberal media, so he has to do his job. In order for the quote-unquote blacks or quote-unquote Negroes to get plugged in to the left or to the Democratic side, they need assets that are placed strategically throughout the sports world who are going to reiterate and regurgitate all of the silly and vain philosophies that are fed to them from the quote-unquote left or the Marxist side. And there are Marxists on the right side also. They just hide it better. But for the most part, the Marxists or the international conglomerate, they're working through the Democratic Party. There's very little doubt about that. So just getting back to the point, they need strategically placed assets throughout the sports world and the entertainment industry who happen to be so-called black, who can help shepherd these Negroes, under that shade or under that canopy. That's why they're known as the Boule, these chosen Negroes, because they act as intermediaries.
We haven't forgotten about this case, and that justice needs to be served. It hasn't been served yet, but it has to happen. I thought that was important. What'd you think, Renee?
Yeah, no, and what I liked was that they're still playing the game of basketball. So, a lot of people, if they're complaining about what the athletes are saying during media, they're still actually playing a game. So the game still happened. As you can see, there are still games happening, but if the players want to talk about what they want to talk about, that's fine. And I think it's beautiful. And, I might have to start adopting what LeBron is saying about it's a lifestyle now. The movement thing is not a movement. It's a lifestyle. So I like the thought process behind that.
That's a good point. LeBron James, he talked some more, and he said exactly what you just said, that this is not like a temporary movement, something we're just doing today and is going to be forgotten about in the near future.
The reason why LeBron James said that it's not a movement but a lifestyle, is because he's trying to depart or separate from the Black Lives Matter movement, because he knows that their brand right now is bigger than his. LeBron is all about his individual brand. So he does not want to be known as an associate of the quote-unquote Black Lives Matter movement. He wants to be his own entity. So that's why he said what he said there. It's not because he's trying to be deep or insightful.
He basically says this is a lifestyle. So let's hear a little bit more from LeBron on that.
A lot of people kind of use this analogy talking about Black Lives Matter as a movement. It's not a movement. When you black, it's not a movement. It's a lifestyle.
Brother, there's no such thing as being black. But once again, this is what happens when you have athletes trying to speak on societal issues. And it's also why these conversations never go anywhere. Because LeBron James is only capable of speaking from a two-dimensional perspective. He has no true understanding of what he's speaking about. And to be honest with you, just looking at the brother, if you were to place his head side by side with Karl Malone's, because Karl Malone dresses a lot like LeBron James from the neck up, with the big beard and the dad hat, they look about the same age. Like LeBron looks about 47 years old, honestly. And I promise you, when he retires from the NBA, he's going to drop so much weight. He's going to go down to about 215 pounds, I promise you. And everybody's going to be like, wow, what happened to all the weight that dropped off of LeBron James? Because it's all PED usage, allegedly. But just getting back to the point, when it comes to LeBron, stick to sports. And I know a lot of people don't like that, but it's very important that people know where their expertise lies. We're living in a time period where everyone's taught that they can speak on everything. And all that does is create more and more unnecessary confusion. That's all it does. But if you're a super liberal, you definitely believe that you can say anything about anything.
we sit here and say it's a movement, and okay, how long is this movement gonna last? Don't stop the movement. No, this is a walk of life. When you wake up and you black, that is what it is.
Oh, really? So LeBron James, when you wake up and you black, what is it for you? What is it for you, bro? Because you get meetings with Jimmy Iovine. You get Jimmy Iovine to come on your little talk show. Basically, every celebrity in Hollywood, every executive producer, their phone number is in your phone. So is that the quote-unquote black experience that you wake up to every day? And is that supposed to be a part of the black lifestyle that you're talking about? Or are you just acting once again?
It should be a movement. It should be a lifestyle. This is who we are.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. And
you know, brothers, I say this all the time. What the liberal woke Negro constantly tries to do is trick you into believing that they're quote-unquote pro-black. If you were to go on LeBron James's IG tomorrow or the day after that, I promise you that he's going to be promoting lesbianism, because he does that repeatedly on his Instagram or other forms of social media, because lesbianism and homosexuality are very important byproducts of liberalism. He's a liberal black. He is not quote-unquote pro-black. And that's the distinction that the liberal Caucasian Jew, who's at the top of the liberal totem pole, they need all of their black assets to make that differentiation. That's why they're always trying to make sure that their assets know, do not mention Farrakhan at all. Allen Iverson basically just got punked into denying that he has any type of relationship with quote-unquote Minister Farrakhan. I mean, it was so laughable, but once again, Allen Iverson is boule as well.
I get what he's saying. The idea of movement is because, you know, it's starting and there's some movement and traction. That's how the term movement came along. But, you know, I like making it a lifestyle. So if we want to make it a lifestyle, I understand what he's saying. It's kind of what I've been saying.
You haven't been saying shit. You're a dizzy broad looking for attention. You're a lesbian trying to latch on to the race talk so that you can gain some validation for yourself. Just knock it off.
A black woman in America as well as a professional athlete. So
oh yes, a black woman in America. You guys have it so damn hard. And look, I'm not going to deny that the so-called black woman has it harder, of course, than the so-called white woman does. But if the so-called black woman, if she had to be a so-called black man for a month, she might kill her damn self. Once again, within corporate America, they actually create positions for the so-called black woman. It's called executive assistant, office assistant, administrative assistant, which are just fancy titles for secretary. They create positions for the so-called black woman in corporate America. They don't do that for the so-called black man, unless you count mailroom or customer service, something like that.
A lifestyle. So he's just saying that people are trying to separate the two, and as athletes, we're both of those things. So there's no separating it. It is a lifestyle.
Yeah, absolutely. Movement to me feels temporary, whereas lifestyle, that means forever. And
no, what lifestyle means is that they're riding the wave. A lifestyle is different for every individual. There's no such thing as a quote-unquote black lifestyle, because LeBron James is not living in the same way as Tyreek from the hood. It's just not happening. So once again, LeBron could try to align himself with this hood mythology all he wants. He's not that guy. He may have come from that environment, but he has not lived that lifestyle in damn near 30 years. So he can talk all the shit that he wants to talk. It's bullshit.
It's a great way to look at it. Look, when it comes to these things, you know, LeBron is almost always on point, on message.
Well, I would agree with that. From the liberal perspective, he's always on point, because you guys just agree with everything that he says like he's some type of prophet or something, and the dude is always talking nothing but fucking nonsense. How the hell could you have a black lifestyle? What does that even fucking mean? That's almost like, you know what? If you're a so-called black man, don't be aspirational, because no matter what, you still just gonna be a nigga. See, if you have that mentality, you'll never go anywhere. If LeBron James had that mentality, he would never have been successful. But then again, he had handlers. That's why he's a member of the Sigma Pi Phi, aka the Boule fraternity. He has the Boule tattoo on his chest, the quote-unquote Sphinx tattoo.
Smart guy. He's so popular, and I don't think any other athlete in the world has the ability to affect as much change as LeBron James.
What change exactly has LeBron James affected? What are you going to say? The charter school? The quote-unquote I Promise school in Akron that's being bankrolled by the citizens because it's a public school and he just put his fucking name on there? Is that what you're talking about? Is that the change that he's brought forth? LeBron has never changed anything since he started speaking. I would say back in around 2014 he started running his mouth. Prior to that, all he did was put on a damn hoodie because he was copying Dwayne Wade. That's all he does is copy what other people do and try to take credit for it like he's some type of revolutionary.
Right and was wrong is wrong.
Was right, it was right, it was wrong, it was wrong. Adam, did I read that right? But anyway, peace.